Hello, friends. I, Yakov, am back again to read more The Hoopa Project by David Paulides in our lead up to more Missing 411 content. I've been a very busy man lately. Haven't been reading as much as I should. But I'm back and I'm going to finish. This should be streaming live to my Twitter feed. I have been experimenting with Twitter again, at Skinwalker Gang. No underscore, Skinwalker Gang. Type that shit in, find it. Double check that everything's working properly here. Nah, ain't shit working. That's fucking normal, I guess. Whatever, dude. We got Skinwalker Outdoors, Southern Pollock in the chat. What up, bro? Sending data to Twitter. It's fucking such bullshit. You can't just like mess with that while it's live. Is that an option? No, it's fucked. It's fucked. Alright, whatever. That's not important anyway. Midwest Vikinger in the chat. Whoop whoop. Oh, I got a haircut, bro. Yeah, I just buzzed it the fuck off. I started getting just totally sick of it. It's gone now. It'll be back by the gathering, which is also totally confirmed. Gathering happening. If you're interested, let me know. Some more whoop whoops. Photon, Rufflemau. Nice cut. Oh, dude, I just take the fucking shears to it. It's gotta go! I'm having a fucking nervous breakdown. It's time to go. Whoop whoop, Jamie. Alright, so I'm looking up where I left off on my last video, and it was a stupid fucking place to leave off. I am the first one to admit that. Because now I'm sitting here looking, location of Maston's sighting. What the fuck is that? Oh yeah, there's a guy. He talked, I'll tell you what he did talk about. He talked about like a place where Bigfoot frequented. Big old Bigfoot tracks. Bones scattered about the Bigfoot camp, perhaps. So, we're going to learn a bit more about that. We'll move on to our next story. Homemade haircut gang, Southern Pollock says. Location. The location of Maston's sighting fits the entire regional profile of Upper and Lower Mill Creek roads. In this incident, Bigfoot never took an action toward Hank and merely followed him back to his house. The Bigfoot visiting this area do not appear to be afraid of people, but act cautiously in their approach and do not stay long in a witness's sightline. They act almost as though they are interested in human behavior as we are in Bigfoot lifestyle. I have spent many hours in this area and have walked many miles of the Mill Creek waterline. I have seen salmon and steelhead migrating up the creek, and this may be one possible reason why Bigfoot is frequenting the region. The other obvious food source is the enormous number of berry bushes. The area where Hank found the footprints in front of his house was located in a huge patch of berries. The path the creature took back to the creek was also through a huge patch of berries. During my exploration of the region, I did find one almost completely intact animal skeleton, approximately 100 yards from where Hank made his sighting near the fir tree and in the region of Mill Creek, behind his residence. Directly adjacent to the skeleton, I also found a huge mark in the sand that was partially submerged in a small pool of water. Let's look at this boy. What do you think that is? A photo of the skeleton found near Hank Maston's sighting. It is highly unusual to find a complete skeleton and one in as good condition as this. Lord knows that's true. Something's bound to pick it apart, unless they're afraid to come into the area. Perhaps there is a creature out there with enough awareness and intelligence to value a skeleton. The way a human might place a skeleton on his... Or, not a skeleton. Fuck, dude, I'll put a whole goddamn human skeleton on my fucking... on my shelf. It's just there to look at, to look cool. But, it's not uncommon for someone to have a skull of, an animal Like somewhere decorating their house. Excuse me. Delta 8 be kicking. Southern Pollock saying its skeleton is more humanoid than ape. What are you talking about? Bigfoot? You got a Bigfoot skeleton? I don't think that's what this is supposed to be. I think this is supposed to be like something it killed and ate, dog. But what do I know? They do look like some fingies. Might not be fingies. A lot of things in nature look like fingies and aren't part of hands at all. They're something else. I wonder if you had a bear skeleton and you just saw its paws, like, does it look like fingies? I bet. Midwest Vikinger says, I do miss my childhood barber, based World War II vet, $7 cut and shave. That's awesome. Pollock says, I thought I was the only one with a World War II barber. You know, my dad would tell me stories about how the Polish kids would come in on the first day of school with their heads shaved. And that's me and Pollock, definitely. Youper, holy comfy second break of the day and you're live nice. Hell yeah, I am. Korean War barber. The World War II barber should fight the Korean War barber. And, like, the Korean War barber, he's got, like, an advantage because I guess he's not as old. But, like, that World War II barber shouldn't be written off so easily. Nice toupee. I've gotten rid of the toupee. The toupee is gone, Jerry Bab. Where was I? So we have a mark in some sand, partially submerged. The mark appeared to be a Bigfoot print, but because it was in water, positive identification could not be made. I must admit that it was highly unusual to find the print adjacent to a skeleton. The skeleton had obviously been there several weeks, but the print was probably placed in the last several days. This area of the creek is frequented by locals during the summer and is used as an area to barbecue, fish, and swim. During the winter months, few people use this area, and it is rarely visited. I should note that Hank's story of the boulders being thrown into the Trinity River also coincides with the boulder throwing incident involving Corky Van Pelt. The stories are almost identical, and the locations are very close. Dwight Corky Van Pelt. Dwight Corky Van Pelt. Let's say it right. Temporarily disabled. What does that mean? Does that mean his leg is broken, or he's just, like, half retarded? Hoopa took place in Hoopa. Incident number 2, 1967. Early, one brisk winter morning, I made the long drive up Bald Hills and down the lengthy dirt driveway to Corky's residence. I also want to fucking note that if I'm, like, snorting into, like, the microphone, like Darkside Phil, don't mind me. Don't mind me. The seasons are changing. I'm gonna say it's allergies. We'll go with that. The trip reminded me of a classic Bigfoot location, slightly foggy, with patches of snow scattered on the wet ground and very isolated. The road was filled with the potholes and water and was barely manageable with any two-wheel drive vehicle. Luckily, I had a four-wheel drive. I actually stopped for a few minutes on my way to Corky's residence and took a few photos, as it was a memorable spot. I eventually made my way to the residence, and Corky exited the front door to greet me. He invited me in and offered me some coffee as I exchanged greetings with his kids. Corky is a big man, a Native American, and a lifelong Hoopa Tribal member. Corky immediately opened up and told me about growing up in Hoopa and how he was an all-county football player at Hoopa High School. He said that he was a very good athlete when he was younger. He explained that he had hunted and searched the far corners of the reservation when he was a teenager and a young man, and felt that he knew the reservation better than most. Corky said that he has held a few different jobs in his life in Hoopa. He has been a certified timber cruiser, fire engineer, and truck driver. He stated that the 48 years he has been on this earth, His back has been injured on the job many times. There's the disabled part. We got it. He constantly has pain, and it inhibited his ability to hold a job. He did say that when he was younger, he was very strong and sometimes fearless. Now he's all hopped up on oxys, it sounds like. When Corky was 8 or 9 years old, he and a group of friends, Zek Van Pelt and Merwin Clark, went down to the Trinity River near Camel Creek. He stated that it was a fun thing to do in the summer. They would put out their fishing nets and usually catch nothing because they never did a great job placing them. Corky said that it was starting to get late when they began to hear screaming coming from the far side, the east side of the Trinity River. He stated that the screaming was like nothing he had ever heard before or since. It sounded somewhat like a creature was screaming at something that it was fighting. He explained that the screaming went on for several minutes, with all of the boys being very scared. Merwin and Zek were so scared that they climbed into the cab of the truck and locked it. Corky is at his residence. That's a trustworthy source once again. Nothing but trustworthy sources here. Look at that guy. Look into his eyes. He's telling the truth. What am I doing? How do I stream again? It's been so long since I did one of these. How does this work? Special needs Bigfoot. Southern Pollock said. DSP versus Bigfoot. Sped Bigfoot, I guess. They should put signs up, and it's like, you know, retarded Bigfoot area. So that, like, I don't run it over while I'm fucking mudding. Going 75 miles an hour. Fucking drunk as hell in the woods. Midwest Vikinger wants to know, would an autistic Bigfoot make the trains run on time? I'm not sure what that's a reference to. It sounds fun, though. Corky said that when the screaming stopped, the rocks started to be thrown. These rocks weren't small. They were really boulders, 150 to 200 pounds each. All of the boulders came from the eastern side of the Trinity and landed in the middle of the river. The boulders never got extremely close, but it was enough to scare the heck out of the boys. Corky said that the screams coupled with the boulders were an event he could never forget. He is positive that there isn't a man or woman alive that could scream half as loud as what he heard. And there isn't a human alive that could throw one of those boulders 5 feet, let alone 200 feet. Corky said that he is sure that he and his friends had disturbed Bigfoot. It got angry, and it was sending a message that it wanted them to leave. Corky had one other Bigfoot encounter, and this was also associated with the Camel Creek area. He stated that it occurred about 12 years past when he was hiking 5 to 6 miles up from the highway. He was walking for several minutes and felt that something was paralleling him on a ridge above him. He stated that he heard noises but never saw anyone. After several minutes, he decided to rest and take a short break. He said that he sat down when all of a sudden a huge bush, 40 feet from him, across a small clearing, started to shake frantically. Corky said that the bush was much too large for any man to be able to shake that hard and fast. He said that he was scared, so he stood up and held his coat open and made large wings. He said that he wanted the creature to smell his odor and know that it wasn't wanted in this area. Immediately after opening his coat, Corky said that the shaking stopped and he heard bipedal running coming from behind the bush. The creature was so heavy that he could feel the ground shaking lightly. Corky said that he knew better than to try to chase the creature, so he just left the area. He made large wings, said that he wanted the creature to smell his odor and know that it wasn't wanted in this area. So he's trying to tell the Bigfoot to get out of the area this time. He turned the tables on it by fucking brapping real loud. Get that odor, dude. It's fart time. The most recent Bigfoot-related activity occurred in the prior 2 to 3 months on his property where he and I were meeting. He said that he had found a dog that appeared to be half wolf. The dog was too wild to bring into the house, so he used a heavy gauge steel chains. I feel like commas should be like more common in this writing. He used a heavy gauge steel chain to tether it to a large tree 40 feet from his residence. You know, that wouldn't be commas. That would be like hyphens. Hyphen between heavy and gauge. And then I'll get the rest. Come on, guys. I could write better than this. But I guess it's like... Paulides is a cop. Not a fucking author. Or whatever. He's an author now. What the fuck's the term for it? He don't know no books. He only knows shooting black people. Corky guessed that the dog weighed 100 pounds and was very tough. He explained that one night he and Tane, his wife, heard loud whistling coming from the area of the forest adjacent to where the wolf was chained. Both stated that there is no man they know who could pull the chain apart. Well, the next morning, Corky went out to check on the wolf and found that the chain was pulled apart and the wolf was gone. The wolf has never been seen again, and both Tane and Corky feel that possibly Bigfoot took it. And ate it? Now, I don't think Bigfoot would eat a dog. I really don't believe that. I don't think it's out there. Like, that doesn't make any sense from, like, you know, like an ecological standpoint. Like, where in the food chain so Bigfoot eats wolf eats deer. Like, okay, whatever. It don't really make sense to me. That doesn't seem like how nature kind of works. But, Bigfoot is known to hate dogs. Now, I've an idea about that's not like evolutionarily they go, and I don't think they have any need to kill dogs or wolves on their own terms, but dogs alert humans to Bigfoot's presence. Therefore, they're smart enough to know that the dog has to go. That's one of Paulides, when he talks now, he says that's one of his rules. Like, if you follow, he's got like 5 rules. You don't have to follow all of them, but if you're following 2 of them, there hasn't been a single encounter, missing 411 case involving someone who has followed like X amount of rules. So it's like sat phone, fucking personal GPS, 2 people, a gun, a dog, shit like that. And if you follow a few of those rules, you're safe. Dog being one of them. Bigfoot's a lot like 4chan. If you just get a dog, like, it stops messing with you. The area around Camel Creek also is high on my list for Bigfoot sightings. This is around the same area where Michael Mularkey... Your name is Mularkey? M-U-L-A-R-K-E-Y. Come on, man. Come on, Jack. Can't be named Malarkey, and I just believe your sighting. This is around the same area where Michael Malarkey saw Bigfoot on his way into his supermarket, and also very close to the area around Shoemaker Road where Leanne Estrada and her mom saw the juvenile Bigfoot in their front yard. None of these people were interviewed together or, to my knowledge, have ever spoken about their Bigfoot sightings with each other. If you see a Bigfoot, immediately begin masturbating, Jamie says. Always bring the gun. I call my cock my rifle. Colored clothes. Skinwalker Outdoors says, that's another one. Keep you safe out there. Jamie says, it will spook him off, especially after you bust. The musky odor of the bust will let him know who's boss. Skinwalker Outdoors says lots of 411 victims were wearing bright colors and unarmed. So you're not supposed to wear bright colors. That attracts the big feet. Conundrum. It's a conundrum when you're out there fucking deep in the woods. Like, a lot of these people are wearing bright clothes. That's what they do. That's what hunters do. I wear all black. Ski mask. Location. The location of Corky's boulder throwing incident is less than 1/4 mile from the Hank Maston boulder throwing. The dates are approximately 1 year apart, yet the description of each incident mimics very similar behavior, with the witnesses conducting themselves in almost an identical manner. This occurred on the Trinity River during summer months while boys were out having fun. Just boy time, really. It's an Indian summer. It's a lot like white boy summer. This really makes researchers wonder how many other times over the years identical behavior has occurred and was never reported. So, the fact that these incidents occurred 1/4 mile from each other, and they both included this same behavior, that's good stuff. I don't know, it's very enticing. Makes you want to go camp out there, or makes you not want to if you're a pussy, I guess. Just find some slam pig, take her out there, and it's like, you have your fun. And then when it's time to sacrifice her to the Bigfoot, just send her out, get out there. He's calling for you. Go distract them while I run away. It can be done. Carlo Miguelena. Forestry Tech. Hoopa Tribal Forestry. Incidents number 3, 1969, number 13, 2006. This numbering system doesn't quite make sense to me at this point. I guess this is chronological shit that maybe he'll enlighten. Who cares? One incident was 1969, the other was 2006. On November 30th, just after lunch, I made a visit to the Hoopa Tribal Forestry office in an effort to locate a stream in the Klamath River Basin. I had some new information in that area and was looking for assistance in locating a specific drainage area. When I arrived in the office, most of the staff were at lunch and there was only a receptionist at the front desk. During these types of visits, I try to dress a little nicer than I do when I'm in the bush. I usually wear a pair of clean jeans and my khaki long-sleeve shirt with the California Bigfoot Search logo. That's, that's some fancy dress. I always have my notebook in my hand and business cards in my wallet. When I announced to the receptionist who I was and what I represented, she appeared a little shocked. She did say that there was one person in the back who might be able to assist me. The receptionist walked me to the back room, and I was introduced. He's going to the back rooms. If you're out there investigating Missing 411, like the last place you want to wind up is the back rooms. It's like being Missing 411, except it's just like, you're just in an office with fucking lighting that's just buzzing overhead. It's much worse. It's like Ted Kaczynski's nightmare. I feel retarded right now. I keep trying to think of things to say. It's like, what are the words? Maybe it's because I just woke up. What is that lighting that just buzzes? I hate it. What is that called? I know what that's called. Give me another hour, I'll think of it. If you were to go missing, what would you rather have? The fucking... The canopy of trees above you? Or would you rather have that shitty fucking buzzing lightning? Lightning. Fuck, dude. I'm retarded right now. I apologize. There's something wrong with me. Something wrong with my brain. Fluorescent. Thank you, Polak. Fluorescent. Fluorescent lighting. The jungle canopy. The forest canopy. The rainforest canopy in the Pacific Northwest. Or fluorescent lighting. Come on now. Doom Pepe in the chat. We got mod. He's saying, get me in. Do you want to come in the call? Talk about Bigfoot? Is that what you want from me? I'll give you the opportunity. You know where to find me. Oh. Duh. Now that I'm done being a fucking blithering retard, let's do this. The receptionist walked me back to the back rooms, brother, and I was introduced to an individual from the forestry group. He was in his late 30s, professional and well-spoken. Duh! He stated that he could show me on a map the location I was looking for, and then asked a series of interesting questions. This person had spent his entire life in the Hoopa area and truly didn't believe in Bigfoot. He explained that he had spent countless hours in the most remote regions of the reservation, and he had never seen any sign of the creature. He stated that he has heard rumors of people who have seen Bigfoot, but doubts they have truly seen something similar to what they are claiming. Just as this individual was letting me know his opinion, another forestry employee heard our conversation and started to level the same opinion my way. Both individuals were polite and professional, but true pessimists on Bigfoot. They are definitely feds, dude. Do you think they're Masons?
Most likely.
I think so too, Mod.
They also work at the post office.
I agree. Ralph Lamau wants to know what happened to the site, bro, because people keep going to it, and it's like, this is dangerous. I'm pretty sure my site is a piece of shit now because it has a Russian host, is I'm pretty sure what's going on, and now it's like fake news malware. Do you think that's likely, Mod?
Yes.
Yeah.
Likely,
I think that's what's happening, guys.
And that kind of stuff happened to LibGen as well.
So yeah, I'm going to figure that site out. Maybe it's the perfect time to rebrand. I don't know what's going on with that. Dude, I fucking just hate the world and everything in it. I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore.
Change your banner to We Love NATO.
God damn, dude. Then Putin will fucking poison me. Alright, a little more water. After I was shown the location for which I was searching on the map, I was walked to the lobby, and more employees from the forestry and also wildlife management started to enter the building. Within a few minutes, there were almost 10 people in the lobby area who were all talking about Bigfoot. That's so dank. Once the wildlife management staff arrived, the tide of opinion started to change. They seemed to be a much more optimistic group when it came to Bigfoot and its possible existence in Hoopa. Once the opinion in the lobby started to change, one of the forestry employees, Carlo Miguelena, stepped forward to make a personal statement. Carlo had the strength to speak his feelings and opinions in the face of obvious apprehension. He stated that he had a Bigfoot encounter, and the entire Hoopa Forestry and Wildlife Room then went silent. This is like the war between the CIA and the FBI. I think the forestry people are CIA and the other one's the FBI. I think that's how this works.
And then everybody fucked.
Yes. Carlo explained that he is a 53-year-old forestry tech for Hoopa Tribal Forestry. He stated that he grew up in the valley and spent his life in the mountains, streams, and the creeks surrounding Hoopa. He graduated from Hoopa High School and has heard stories about Bigfoot his entire life. He explained that when he was young, the Trinity Alps National Wilderness Area had not been established, and where the tribal grounds stopped on the eastern edge, National Forest began. He said that when he was young, his family raised 25 to 30 cattle on the Forest Service property just outside the reservation near Water Dog Lake. His family consisted of his mom and dad and an older brother and younger sister. Every summer, the family would spend at least a week near Water Dog and stayed at the Trinity Summit Lookout Camp. Carlos said that during his life, his parents never got into long discussions about Bigfoot and never discussed their beliefs with him. In the summer of 1969, Carlo was 15 and his family was taking their annual trip up to Water Dog. He stated that he can distinctly remember everyone loading up the family's Jeep Wagoneer and making the drive up into the hills. He remembers that they traveled up Big Hill Road until it turned to dirt, and then continued at a slower pace as they gradually went up in elevation. They were approximately 12 miles from the state highway, and at 5,700 feet when they hit a very rough and steep location in the road. This area is now in the wilderness area, and the public cannot drive it, but he remembers how rough it was, and how slow they were traveling. Carlo also remembers that it was a very hot day, and because they were in a steep section, his dad had the air conditioning off, and the family had all of their windows open. Here's that boy. Oh, wait. He looks like Ethan Ralph. He looks exactly like Ethan Ralph. That's fucking weird.
The synchronicity. We got him, boys.
Yeah,
Ethan Ralph's a Bigfoot. That's probably why he's so retarded. It's a genetic mutation.
It would explain a lot of the hollering.
Wait, I gotta knock on wood, too.
Miguelena said that at the point his family's car was driving slow, and as they were ascending the large hill, an incident happened that he would never forget. He said that the entire family heard the loudest scream he has ever heard in his life. He explained that he has heard mountain lion screams many, many times, and knows precisely what they sound like. Carlo stated emphatically that this scream was not a mountain lion or any other animal in Hoopa that is accepted by scientists as a member of the animal kingdom. His entire family started to look at each other when the scream was heard. He said it was hard to tell how far away the screamer was, but he was sure that it wasn't far away and that it was probably sending his family a warning. It was either Carlo's brother or sister who asked the parents what was making the scream. Carlo said that his dad immediately replied, "Bigfoot." It wasn't a quarter of a mile, and Carlo said that his dad had turned their Jeep around, and they were heading home. There was no family discussion, and there was no dialogue about the decision. The Miguelenas were heading back to Hoopa, period. In the 53 years Carlo has lived in the Hoopa region, he's had only one Bigfoot encounter. Carlo said it has only taken one direct encounter to convince him that something large, loud, and menacing lives in the forests surrounding Hoopa. He said that he has heard many friends tell stories about their sightings and their beliefs, and he thinks many of their stories are quite credible. His best guess is that Bigfoot lives in the far reaches of Tishtang, possibly into the wilderness area to avoid public contact. Carlos stated that he has heard too many stories, knows there is plenty of food and cover to maintain a population, and hide something the size of Bigfoot in the outer reaches of the reservation and beyond. Carlos said that he would gladly feed me any leads and provide any new information should it develop. After we had a lengthy discussion, there were 4 to 5 additional employees who came to my vehicle and had private conversations about Bigfoot. One of the greatest Bigfoot stories I've ever heard, and is chronicled in this book, came directly from the family of one of these employees. I sincerely appreciated their inner strength and their belief in my integrity. Thanks, guys, for having the belief in my credibility and stepping up to be interviewed. The world
coming
appreciates
into my
your
car,
stories.
staying with me after I lock the door and roll up the windows.
Update. Bigfoot Jen, Skinwalker Outdoors says, it'd be funny if Bigfoot had, like, a really small penis, Jamie says.
Just compensating.
The Gunt is a Time Lord. Bigfoot eats the ass of random hoes on video. Okay, that's true.
It's real. Bigfoot ate my ass.
It's true. Never doubt it.
Get a t-shirt with that.
Update. In mid-March of 2007, I was in Hoopa on one of my regular trips when I saw Carlo at the gas station. The station is a general meeting spot in Hoopa, and if you are there long enough, you will eventually see everyone, as it's the only place in the area for gas. So, do you think these people showing up at the gas station from the reservation have cars? That's what I really want to know.
No, they're meth addicts and hookers.
I don't know. I'd be huffing that gas.
There's a line to get your ass eaten by Bigfoot at the
Yeah.
gas station.
The tribe owns
Right
the
behind the
station
dumpster.
and keeps prices comparably low for tribal members, yet everyone gets the discount. Thank God for that. I was filling my Jeep when Carlo came up to me and asked how the search had been going. After a short conversation, Carlo said that he had recently seen Bigfoot tracks on the backside of Big Hill. He stated that he and his son had driven into the backcountry on some free time. He explicitly stated that they had gone way too far and driven into several miles of virgin snow and could have been stuck because the snow was very deep where they were. They exited their vehicle and walked around and saw one set of huge footprints. He said it was obvious that they were the only vehicle that had been in the area for weeks, and the prints were fairly fresh and an obvious Bigfoot track. He stated that the stride between the prints was much larger than any human stride, and he estimated that the prints themselves were over 16 inches. He also said that he could tell they were made by a bare foot and not a boot. Carlo told me that he had seen hundreds of bear tracks in his life and is positive that the tracks they saw were Bigfoot and not any other natural wildlife. Several days after Carlo told me of his footprint sighting, I drove back into the region. I also encountered heavy snow with many fallen trees. The winter of 2007 had been very tough on the Hoopa Reservation. Ed Maston had told me that every 10 years the oaks and other hardwoods usually suffered a similar termination of life through heavy winds and snow. It would appear that 2007 wiped out many good trees on the reservation. My trip into the region that Carlo had visited produced no sightings, but a lot of intelligence. It was much more desolate than other regions of the reservation, and it was obvious that nobody should venture into this area without four-wheel drive and great tires. I meandered around many downed trees and lots of huge mud puddles. I eventually reached an area that had several feet of snow, and I felt it was time to turn around. When I reach a point when I know I am turning around, I usually exit my vehicle and walk several hundred yards further down the road, just as an insurance measure that I'm not missing anything that's close. I did this at this location and didn't see anything unusual. I will be back to the spot over the spring. According to topographic maps, I was on the eastern fringe of the reservation and in United States Forest Service property.
What? I think the Forest Service put the snow there. Slimy bastard.
That's true. They realized he was driving out there and they just dumped a bunch of snow. Maybe they had the planes fly by to drop the fake aluminum snow.
The zinc snow?
Whatever the hell. My point is it doesn't melt. You hold your lighter to it, it doesn't melt. Did you hear about it? God damn.
Imagine smoking crack on aluminum.
Yeah, this isn't snow, this is meth. It's awesome. Jeff Lindsey, Hoopa Forest Planner, Hoopa Tribal Forestry. June 1976 and June 1980. The Hoopa tribe requires a special permit for any non-tribal members to be on reservation property. Anyone can be on the paved section of the reservation, but once you travel onto the dirt roads, you need a permit. The procedure calls for the Hoopa Tribal Forestry Department to review your request, understand the need, and then inspect your vehicle for contaminants. Contaminants? The hell does that mean?
Anything that could deter the Bigfoot from eating your ass.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like if you're trying to smuggle in an invasive species.
Pepper spray, mint, black people.
There are several nasty tree diseases that exist in Northern California, and the tribe doesn't want any of those contaminating their trees. The tribe also doesn't want people harvesting their trees or stealing wild mushrooms. They want their forests to stay pristine, and they see the inspection as a key to keeping the forests pure.
If I can't eat the mushrooms, how do I get
Tree
the real
diseases. That's weird. I've never heard of such a thing. That you don't know. You're bringing in any tree diseases back there? You got like a tree disease lab in that fucking RV?
Yeah.
So what is it? Just like debris that might be on the car?
Well, it's like if you exposed a European who still carries all those old pathogens to a native tribe that's not immune. The native tribe contracts it and
They get stronger from it.
Right.
It increases their power levels.
Same thing with trees.
Where was I? The tribe also doesn't want people harvesting their trees or stealing wild mushrooms. We are doing the mushroom bit, actually. It's awesome. They want their forests to stay pristine, and they see the inspection as key to keeping forests pure. They require that your vehicle be absolutely clean of any dirt and brush before they will issue the permit. The permits are for a maximum of 1 week, and then you must go back through the same procedure. The person assigned to inspecting vehicles is Jeff Lindsey. It was early one Wednesday morning in March when I first met Jeff. He is a 44-year-old Humboldt State University biology graduate who greeted me with a big smile. I explained that I was there for the vehicle inspection and that I promised that the car was clean. He looked happy. We walked out to the car and he looked it over carefully. Jeff said it was quite clean and it passed. It was a rainy day and we went back under the shelter to talk. Jeff asked me politely and specifically what I was doing in the woods and what success I had experienced. Jeff's questions started a healthy conversation that usually always ends with me asking the person if they had Bigfoot experiences. Jeff said approximately 15 years ago he did have a Bigfoot experience while in the Trinity Alps. It was now clear why he had curiosity about my exploration.
Hey,
That's
Fat
dude.
Kevin McKenna.
Kevin McKenna? Who the fuck's that?
Oh.
Is that the mushroom guy? That's not his name. Dennis McKenna.
Dennis McKenna.
Terrence McKenna. Dennis is his brother.
Terrence
Now we're all fucked up. You got me all fucked up now. Terrence was the main guy. That's the guy. Dennis is his brother who also wrote books and also went to... Where did they go? South America for mushrooms? I think so. Jeff said that he grew up in Lodi, California, and belonged to a Boy Scout troop that was led by his dad. He said that his dad always had an interest in the Trinity Alps, and they seemed to go there more than other places. He stated that it was in June of 1976 when he, the troop, and his dad backpacked into Papoose Lake, deep in the Trinity Alps. When Jeff stated Papoose Lake, I immediately remembered a sighting report I had read a year earlier about a Bigfoot incident at that same lake. In the incident, a group of campers were scared out of their mind by screams, yells, and trampling of the ground around their tents during one stormy night at the lake. They never saw what was causing the disruption, but they claimed it was Bigfoot. The campers were so scared that they said they would never go back to the lake. Jeff stated that there was still a lot of snow around the lake and its surrounding basin, and at the time they decided to explore the area. He immediately found a set of prints with a very long stride and huge footprint, much larger than a man's, and the impression of a large bare foot. He stated that the prints went up to a ridgeline, at which point he decided to stop. The ridgelines keep coming up again too. That's a recurring theme. Many people have sightings along ridgelines of a Bigfoot looking down at them. So, then it's also like the idea that maybe like they don't prefer ridgelines, but that's where you can get a good silhouette against like the sky.
Right. It's all part of keeping camouflage.
The same idea of like you see Yetis in the Himalayas like in snow, but you don't think nobody thinks they live in snow. They travel across snow and they're only seen when they're doing that.
Right.
To get to the valleys. Jeff walked back around the bowl and up another route, and found the same prints apparently meeting up with the other two creatures where they appeared to be all walking together. So, wait, how many do we have now? We found...
No, there are 2 of them.
We got a whole family of them. He stated that all of the prints went towards a very large crevice, large enough to walk through. He stated that he and his friends walked to the opening of the crevice and then got very scared. He said that a feeling came over him, like he was being watched. Jeff said that something inside told him he shouldn't be going in there. Jeff claimed that he and his friends got out of the area after seeing the huge opening. He said that he had a camera and took a picture of the prints, but the photo had too much white in it from the snow and didn't show the detail from the print. So, going into a crevice, I wish there was more details. Just like into the rocks? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm imagining.
Yes, the side of mountain.
Jeff said that he had one additional encounter that he attributed to Bigfoot, and that also occurred in the Trinity Alps in early July of 1980. He was with his dad and the troop when they were on the trail to Papoose Lake. He said that it was a 2-day hike to the point they were at, any camp. Then they had stopped to take a break and casually walk the area without their packs. He said that as they were starting to walk around, a couple of teenagers began to walk towards them from a creek bed that was nearby. The teenagers told them that there was too much snow at Papoose Lake, so his dad decided that they would camp at any for the night. Jeff said that he decided to slowly walk the creek bed that the teenagers had just walked down. He was looking at the creek and soil and had walked approximately 100 yards when he came upon a huge footprint in the lone sandbar, the only one that was anywhere nearby. Jeff said that a boot print, obviously from the kids that had just walked down the creek, was near the print. The footprint was between 13 and 15 inches long, had 5 toes, and was much deeper in the sand than the boot print. Jeff said that this print closely matched the prints he had seen in the snow at Papoose Lake years earlier. Jeff feels that it must have been Bigfoot that made this print.
It's the 2 niggas.
Oh, dude. A bunch of people come in here and immediately make sure my fucking... make sure my fucking stream is all fucked up. How many black jokes can we get in on this stream where I'm reading David Paulides?
Well, I've already said 2. Greasy makes
I said
3.
the A's.
I know.
Day.
I know.
That's okay.
That's fine.
I was just referring to the Discord names.
Are we saying the N-word in here?
Everyone's here to ruin my stream. Thanks, boys, for showing up. You can hang out. You can hang out if you want.
Yeah.
Don't say the N-word.
Yeah, I won't.
Where were we? There are several aspects of this incident that are very interesting in the Hoopa Bigfoot scenario. Remember that many people believe that Bigfoot lives in this wilderness area and travels outside for food source. It is also fascinating that a Bigfoot incident report already exists for Papoose Lake and is under different circumstances. I spoke to Jeff about this, and he stated that he had never filed a report before meeting me. The final notation to remember is that Jeff described the prints he found by the lake had already been on a ridgeline. This fits with a Yurok belief that the creature likes to travel along ridges. Once again, that basically ties right into the Yeti idea.
Yeah. Using the horizon mask.
David Bishop, prospector, Orleans, August 1980. During one of my weeks spent at Hoopa, I was checking into the local hotel when I was given a message to contact Dave Bishop. I'd never heard of Dave, and there was no explanation to the note. I had a busy week scheduled, but I did call him the first full night I was in town. Dave was a very congenial guy on the phone and stated that he didn't have a face-to-face confrontation with Bigfoot, but knew from his history as a mountain man and prospector that he had a close encounter with Mr. Bigfoot. That's weird. It's a weird thing to throw in.
Mr.
Bigfoot. Excuse me.
So that's his
my
surname?
dad.
Yeah. Dave stated that he lived in Orleans and asked if I would be in the area anytime soon. We made arrangements to meet at the restaurant in his town later in the week. Dave walked into the restaurant, and he immediately struck me as a seasoned mountain man. He was a very straightforward guy who wasn't looking for publicity, because he made it clear from the beginning that he never saw the creature and was never claiming anything sensational in his story. Dave stated that he was a 58-year-old prospector who had lived in and around Orleans for over 30 years. He said that he had 2 bachelor degrees from Humboldt State University, and for a good portion of his life, he was a professional student. He said that it was obvious that he was going to have to work for a living, and so he decided to be a teacher. He did this for a few years and got tired of the classroom. He said that he had spent time in and around I keep saying fucking almost New Orleans when I read that. It's Orleans. In and around Orleans as a student and liked the remote aspect of the city and truly enjoyed the prospecting it offered. Here's that dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
Dave
Looks like,
Bishop.
He's got the, what are those
I've
got
got the
again?
whole gang in here now.
Dashiki? Is it a dashiki?
Is he wearing a dashiki? Dashiki? No, that's a drug rug. That's called a drug rug.
It's got like the same head shape as Styx, Hex, and Hammer.
It's a poncho, is what it is.
Fucking Sam Houston.
That's pretty sick, dude. He's got style. I'll give him that. And he's got a bunch of cast iron skillets in the back.
I'm just curious if
cast iron
anybody's
is
even
great.
in chat anymore, or if everyone's just in here now.
To be fair, I didn't know you were streaming,
That's
so
all
I was
good.
never in chat.
Fuck, dude. I'm in the call. Fuck it.
It's fine. We know you're blind.
What?
What?
What? Dave said that he and his wife had taken many daily trips in the area immediately adjacent to Orleans, searching for possible mining locations. On one of these trips, he found a location that appeared to have real prospecting possibilities. In August 1980, he and his wife set up camp 6 miles up Red Cap Creek from the confluence of the Klamath River. They didn't have much money, so they lived in a fairly frugal manner. Small shelter, few provisions, and a makeshift outhouse. He said that they slept in a teepee with their blankets on the ground and dug a trench away from their sleeping quarters when they went to the bathroom. They cooked on an open fire just outside their tent and made no particular efforts to discard their leftovers. Dave did say that he and his wife often ate fish that came from the creek, and he attempted to live off the land when practical. It's awesome.
That's very based.
Mr. Bishop claimed that they were at the mine site only a few days when his wife woke him at 2 or 3 a.m., saying that there was someone, not something, outside their tent. Dave stated that as he was lying on the ground, he could feel the ground shaking as though something huge was making the ground rumble. He said that
That was
they
his wife.
he said that they could feel something that was bipedal moving around their campsite, and it made him very nervous.
Is it Ethan Ralph?
That reminds me.
It might have been. We did have an Ethan Ralph sighting earlier.
That reminds me of like the way they said you could tell it was bipedal movement. It reminds me of my fucking encounter with whatever that was because I could tell the same thing.
Yeah.
You could hear 2 feet moving.
It'd be creepy.
He said
I
that
never hear that sound. I wonder-
he said that he didn't want to get his wife nervous because they'd only been there a few days, and he liked the existence they were living. He didn't want to leave. He said that he did the manly thing and looked out the teepee door and didn't see, hear, or smell anything. He later stated that he really didn't want to see anything and really didn't make a huge effort. Dave said that the shaking of the ground and footsteps quickly subsided, but he didn't sleep all that night. To the best of his memory, there was no wind and there was almost no moon. The next morning, Dave was up at the first sunlight. He did find a partial footprint that looked a lot like a bare human footprint, but it was huge compared to a man's. He said that it was only the front portion of the foot, which included the toes. Dave can remember that the toes were huge, that there were only 4 he could see. The ground in the area, according to Dave, was not very conducive to tracks because it was hard. It was so hard. He felt lucky to find the one print. While scouring the camp area for evidence of the visitor, Dave said he went to his trench toilet. Inside the trench, he found a huge pile of scat.
What?
Matt,
awesome.
what did you do?
He's fucking big boy Bigfoot knows how to use the potty, dude.
He took a dump in their
Just
outhouse.
trolling,
Yeah.
taking
Flexing
dirty
on him,
dukes
dude.
in there to throw everybody off,
Yeah.
turn on each other. Who did it?
Inside the trench toilet, he found a huge pile of scat, the biggest he had ever seen in his life, the biggest piece of shit I ever seen in my life. I thought it was Ethan
So
Ralph for a
impressed.
second.
Put
Dave
it in a large glass vase.
a large glass vape.
Yes. He
A large
vaped it.
glass vape of Delta 8.
He put it in a huge Jenga bottle.
Oh boy. Dave guessed the scat was as big in diameter as a beer can.
He's got
Oh my
opiate
God.
poops. Been taking too many oxys.
That's not that big.
Oh,
It's not that big.
Bigfoot walk away.
And as long as a 6-pack. I'm not really sure what that means. Like stacked up like a wizard staff?
Holy
I would
fuck.
have thought Bigfoot's shit was as big as like a football, you know?
The scat was very fresh and contained ingredients that were consistent with a bear, but it was much too large for any
Delicious.
bear scat he had
tasted
ever
them.
seen or could ever imagine.
He put him in a bowl.
Dave said that we all know that bears do not leave their scat in trenches. They leave it on trails, roads, fields, etc. It was almost as though the creature that left the scat was trying to mimic the behavior of the people who left their scat in the trench. That's awesome, dude. He wants to be just like me, pooping bigly. Bigly pooping and not having to wipe.
Bigfoot has a bidet.
Dave Bishop has owned property up Redcap Creek for over 20 years. He stated that during that time, he has seen the population of deer decline considerably while the population of black bears increased at the rate that the deers are decreasing. Dave said he is absolutely convinced that a Bigfoot, not a bear, visited his camp up Redcap Creek. He said that he has never had a similar encounter, even though he has seen a large number of bears in that same period of time, and in the same general area. Dave stated that bears don't shake the ground when they walk, and he signed an affidavit covering all aspects of this incident. Location: Redcap Creek is famous in Bigfoot history, dating all the way back into the early 60s. Roger Patterson and his team had made many trips up into the headwaters of Redcap. At one point, they felt they had found some type of Bigfoot bed up from the creek, overlooking it on a small hill. They worked the area for many weeks, but found no other evidence. Dave Bishop never made any mention of this or any other Bigfoot activity in this area.
That reminds me of the friggin' the bed thing. It was a missing 411 case. It was a child in Canada. They end up finding them dead. There was a case where they found them dead next to like a bedding area where something large had like laid down.
Cool.
Are you saying that Bigfoot was taking a nap and accidentally rolled over the child?
Possibly. But they said they couldn't tell because like fucking coyotes and stuff had eaten the child after it was dead.
Hmm.
So
Spooky. Redcap Creek is very close to Bluff Creek, Klamath River, and the Butte region that Hoopa elders have told their people to stay the fuck away from. Redcap is also on United States Forest Service land, but adjacent to the Hoopa Reservation. Redcap is located on the opposite side of the Klamath River from Bluff Creek, but it is all within a short distance from each landmark described above. Dave's comment about an abundance of bear and lack of deer makes a lot of sense, as it matches comments made by Elaine Creel from Hoopa Forestry and Wildlife. In the many weeks I've spent in this region, it is extremely rare that I see a deer. On the opposite end of that scale, it is a rare day that I don't see a bear. One possible reason for the lack of deer is the number of Native Americans hunting them year-round. This argument makes some sense, but the natives can't hunt on United States Forest Service land unless it's hunting season, and they have the proper state permits, and still you don't see many deer on their property. As a general rule, the natives don't hunt bears, they consider them too close to man. I've had more than one Hoopa friend tell me that when you see a bear stretched out and drying after a kill, it looks a lot like a man.
I've seen that.
That is true. That is true.
It is very weird looking.
Yes.
The whole seeing bears and not seeing deer is strange to me, as I live in an area where I see
It's
deer every day,
demographic
and like
shit.
there are bears here, but you never see them.
Yeah, I still
here
see a
it's-
bear.
Here, it's deer are pretty populous, but what you see more of are friggin' hogs. So many hogs.
It's awesome.
There's hundreds of them on campus.
We need to,
Yes,
to
they
help
ate a
them
fucking
breed
woman
faster.
in Texas somewhere. I forget where.
The
The hogs
hogs.
literally ate her.
For incident number 8, refer to blah blah blah. For incident blah blah blah, refer. I'm not skipping around.
Roll it up and smoke it.
Exactly.
Winkle.
Winkle White, retired fisherman. Hoopa. Incident number 10,
Is
2004.
he a Tolkien character? Tolkien.
Nah, he's a hooper.
Since I have so many people here, does someone else want to read?
I can't read.
Silence.
I've got eyes
Oh,
and a
you-
mouth.
Fuck it.
I mean, I
Can
can
read,
if you
yeah.
want.
Do you want to? Do it.
All right.
Kay's
So
gonna
yeah,
read.
incident number 10, 2004. After interviewing witness Debbie Carpenter, she took me over to meet her husband, Winkle White. She had told me that Winkle had some strange Bigfoot experiences that he'd like to explain to me. Winkle joined us during the end of Debbie's interview and had explained that he is also a Hoopa Tribal member and that he and Debbie had recently married. He said that he was raised with Bigfoot stories and knew that the creature frequented the area of Debbie's house. Winkle stated that he had been down to the Trinity near the fishing grounds of Debbie's father inside Bigfoot Alley, and he'd heard the creature's yells and seen the footprints along and around the bank of the river. He volunteered to take me to the spot where he had made the observation. So I suppose this picture above is that spot there.
Yep, that's it. Look at fucking all them rocks. Look at all them trees. That's Bigfoot
Look at
territory.
all them ridges.
There's some sort of crevice
Yeah.
like in that lake where Bigfoot swims down into
There's
his
plenty of
cave.
salmon in the fucking river. Yeah.
Steelheads even.
It's too bad that Ted Kaczynski didn't be Bigfoot.
Maybe he did. Maybe that's why they had to take him.
That maybe, who knows?
He was
I bet-
Bigfoot was assisting him.
Nobody even really cared about the bombs. It was his communing with Bigfoot that was a problem.
Right? The Bigfoot Network. What's the text above the picture? There's a little bit of smaller text.
Garbage, I'm sure. Yeah, let's check this out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Would
Location.
Bigfoot let you fish there? Did he interrupt you? That's what I
Only
wanna
if
know.
you're Native American. The location on the Trinity River where Winkle White heard the screams and saw large footprints. Note the vertical break in the rock on the opposite bank where there is a dirt path between the crack in the rocks. Tribal nets are in the water attempting to catch salmon. This is also an area where two ridgelines meet from opposing mountains and is also one of the few spots south of Whitechpeck where there are no cliffs protecting the river, thus making an easy crossing.
Tribal nets? What the fuck does that even mean?
There's
Oh, yeah,
Cheaters?
but
by
Overfishing nets?
but as long as just the natives are allowed to do it, then it's fine. There's
Right.
only like 15 of them.
True. Fair enough.
We can manage the population.
All right, so I followed Debbie to her house, and she stopped and she dropped Winkle and me, and he drove to the river. Approximately 1/4 mile from Debbie's residence, we left the paved roadway and took a very rough dirt road approximately half a mile down to the Trinity. The dirt road was fronted on both sides with nothing but huge berry bushes. There were large piles of bear scat approximately every 100 yards. After a short trip, the road that added an unusual touch to this section of river.
Missed
Wait a
the
minute, what?
line here. The road opened up into a beautiful river frontage that had a monumental-sized rock that added an unusual touch to this section of the river.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, my eyes were not keeping up with the scrolling.
It happens.
Yeah, this section was wide and deep. Yes. So the road opened up to a beautiful river frontage, and then there was a monumental-sized rock that added an unusual touch to this section of the river. This section was wide and deep and had an obvious opening on the opposite bank where, between other rocks, a pathway down to the water could be clearly seen. As Big Walk will go down, as we've seen in the picture.
Big walk.
Yes, big rock with large feet.
It makes sense, ultimately.
Indeed. Winkle told me that days after Debbie made her Bigfoot sighting, he was at his location where he heard loud screams or yells coming from the forest edge near the opposite bank up Transmitter Hill. He stated that he had lived in the woods his entire life and he had never heard anything as loud, as long in duration, or as different as the sounds he heard. He also observed a series of human-like bare footprints on the bank near the water. He stated that the prints were huge, nearing 16 inches in length and much too long and wide to be human. They were indented too deep into the ground for a 200-pound male to make. Winkle said he is positive that the tracks he saw were big footprints and not bear or human. Well, there you are.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing.
Tracks.
Yeah, it's the same story over and over again. But the locations and the proximity, to everything to each other, like that makes it some pretty viable evidence, I guess.
We got berry bushes, we got rocks, we got legends of Bigfoot.
Scat.
All the
Lots
Got
of
the scat. The longest scat I have ever seen in my life.
You see,
As
Bigfoot
big
got a
as a
little
six-pack.
carried away with the kratom, and
That's what I'm saying, dude. He had a kratom dump.
yep, he swallowed like 3 ounces at once.
Are there Thailand Bigfoot?
Kratom Bigfoot.
Yeah, dude. Are they out there eating that specioso?
That Meng Da.
That Meng Da, dude. He's a
Okay.
Bali.
Yeah.
He's a red Bali kratom
Bali
Bigfoot.
Yeah, red
He's a
Bali.
lot more chill than the fucking white Meng Da Bigfoot over there.
I don't know. I thought he's more of a white Indo.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
he hasn't shit in 2 weeks though. Don't worry.
Location. The location of the prints, found by Winkle, is very significant. This area is between the Mill Creek Road subdivision and Bald/Transmitter Hills, both areas with Bigfoot activity. Mill Creek flows into the Trinity River a few hundred yards south of this location, and the activity on Bald Hills Road is just across the river and up the hill from the footprint location. Debbie's sighting is in the middle of a large flat area of Hoopa that has a huge number of berry bushes. In fact, Debbie saw Bigfoot standing next to the berry bushes. The creature later jumped over the bushes and walked parallel to other bushes in an adjoining field. This area of the Trinity is easily identified by several huge rock formations. These rocks can be identified from miles up Bald Hills and Mill Creek, which may be one reason that it appears to be a gathering place for Bigfoot. Bigfoot gathering? Bigfoot at the gathering? Gathering of the Juggalos, Bigfoot confirmed?
Yes, he
Get
will be
those
at the
tickets for the
gathering.
hayride,
Oh,
boys.
by the way,
He's gonna give us all
Mill
autographs.
Creek.
yeah, Gathering of the Juggalos meetup confirmed. First week of August. Go to juggalogathering.com to get your tickets or whatever. I'm going to be there. Homies are going to be there. Hit me up if you're interested. 100% confirmed. Yeah, dude. This is also a location
Trying my
where
best to wrangle up the money.
Oh, do it, dude. This is also a
Gotta do it.
location where the river makes a large turn and starts to head straight for Whitepeck. The public should be warned that there is no legal access to the riverbank in this area, and you must possess a tribal permit for access.
Or
The Secret
can
Sasquatch
just
Society
not.
permit.
Secret
true.
Sasquatch.
That's
Society,
true.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think that'll wrap up this stream, and we will go on with more Bigfoot sightings next time. Thank you guys for joining me. Who the fuck is all here? Fucking K98, thank you for reading. You're reading... Yeah, he's in here. You're reading later
yeah.
today, aren't you, on your channel?
I got something recorded. It's gonna what do you even call that? Yeah, there'll be a
Premiere it?
live broadcast of the recording.
Awesome. Premiering that motherfucker.
Yeah, we're premiering Secret of the Golden Flower.
What's your channel? Tell the people.
Oh, well, right now it's just K98 Loaf Coach. It used to be K98 Paranormal, but I decided to rebrand myself as a Loaf Coach instead of a Paranormalist.
That's fine. Drop that in the chat for everybody.
Will do.
Thank you to Southern Pollock.
Based.
Thank you, Greasy.
Get ready. We're gonna have a
Very
special.
welcome.
We got a episode coming up, and it's the 50th.
Number 50? That's happening in real life?
Woo!
Wad, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Clint Eastwood Indoors, thank you as well.
Everybody call Nathan from Lift the Veil tonight. He really needs your calls and support.
I don't know what any
He's a
of that
piece of
means.
shit. He's a piece of shit.
He's a really important truther, and he needs you to call in and tell him about whatever you want.
Go listen
Nice.
to the F-250
He's a
report.
liar.
Go listen. Yakobees. Don't go to Yakobees.com. Fucking NATO has bombed the servers. It's fucking over, dude. It's fucking over. Patreon.com/yakovalive. You want to come in the Discord and hang out with us. Thanks, Alex. Thanks,
Cool.
Jugs. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks to everybody. I appreciate all you. Scat Pat.